Okay. Hey, family. Welcome to Milk Honey Rose. All right, I hope you guys can hear me because I'm recording this. And I don't usually do the videos like this, but I need to show it in such a way. So I had a vision, I think 2 days ago, when I was meditating. And I found it very interesting. I'll tell you what led to me finding this story, because that will be the next story that I tell you. But I wanted to get to this first because I actually just found this first. Really. This came to me first. So I'm going to read it to you. This is Henrietta Lacks, Black History Month. Okay. This is a website that I came across when I was doing research, trying to find out more information about what Spirit had showed me the other night. Okay. So it says, by all accounts, Henrietta Lacks led a normal life. Miss Lacks was born Loretta Pleasant in 1920 in Roanoke, Virginia. Her own family was unsure how her name was changed to Henrietta. Her mother died when she was young, and she ended up living with her grandfather in Clover, Virginia, where she worked on a tobacco farm. She married David Day Lacks in 1941. She and her husband would move to Maryland, where Miss Lacks would work in steel plants, and Miss Lacks, did I say that right? She and her husband would move to Maryland, where Mr. Lacks would work in steel plant, and Miss Lacks would take care of their 5 children: Lawrence, Elise, David Jr., Deborah, and Joseph. Miss Lacks died of cervical cancer on October 4th, 1951. Prior to her passing, Miss Lacks sought medical care at Johns Hopkins Hospital in Baltimore for stomach pains, which were eventually discovered to be the cancer. The researchers studied her cells. George Otto Gay observed that the cells were able to multiple. I wanted to say multiply. Able to multiple at a very high rate and did not die, unlike other human cells samples, which perished within days. This was the first recorded discovery of an immortal cell line. Dr. Day had cell samples removed from Miss Lack's body during her autopsy to create a cell line of single cells, or of a single cell, in order to perform experiments. He named the cell line the HeLa cells after the first and last initial of their subject, which was Henrietta Lacks. The HeLa cells proved extremely valuable to the fields of medical research. Tuskegee University created a facility where the HeLa cells were created in mass to meet the demand for them. The cells would continually be used for research into cancer, AIDS, the effects of radiation and toxic substances, gene mapping, and countless other scientific pursuits. Perhaps the most famous example of the HeLa cells' role in the medical research was the central role in the development of the polio vaccine by Joan Salk in the 50s. Now, I did some other research about Henrietta, and it doesn't mention here in this article about the fact that her cells were taken as a sample without notifying her prior to her death that was going to be done, as well as notifying her family. They basically they basically found this medical breakthrough of these immortal cells within Henrietta Lacks. Never told her family, and Henrietta passed on not knowing what she has done for the world with the cells that she had within her body. And quick thought, how do you feel about that? Do you think that's right, that they didn't even notify her family to let her know? Yeah, it's just a question for you to think about and answer on your own. Let's see. In the 70s, a large quantity of the HeLa supplies became contaminated and led to a shortage. Medical suppliers contacted the Lax family for blood samples but did not give a. I need to stop these pop ups. Hold on. Medical suppliers contacted the Lax family for blood samples but did not give a reason for their request. Curious and alarmed, the family looked further into the matter and discovered the phenomenal legacy Miss Lax had left behind. This led to major controversies and debate regarding patient consent and ownership of the cells in one's body. Wow, we have to ask for ownership of our own cells now. You know, it's just crazy how the world works, because you would think that that would be an automatic, but it's not. At the time, consent for cells to be taken for research purposes was not the norm, nor required by law or medical ethics. Another major topic was the legal issue of commercialization and royalties, but the family's biggest issue was right to privacy. By this time, medical researchers had published thousands of articles regarding the cell line without once seeking consent from the family. Many of the articles and studies included information about Miss Lax and the Lax family. In 2013, researchers published the DNA sequence of the genome of a strain of HeLa cells. Subsequently, the Lax family and the National Institute of Health reached an agreement that gave the family some control over access to the cells' DNA sequence. Furthermore, two family members joined the six-member committee, which regulated access to the sequence data. It was not until 1996, 45 years after her death, 45 years, just a long time, was Miss Lax given recognition for her contribution to medical science when Morehouse School of Medicine held its first annual HeLa Women's Health Conference. On October 11th, 1996, the mayor of Atlanta declared the date as Henrietta Lacks Day. In 1997, U.S. Congressman Robert Ehrlich presented Ms. Lax a congressional resolution recognizing her contribution to medical science and research. In 2010, the Johns Hopkins Institute for Clinical and Translational Research established the annual Henrietta Lacks Memorial Lecture Series. In 2011, the Morgan State University in Baltimore granted Ms. Lax a posthumous honorary, I'm not sure if I pronounced that properly or enunciated it properly, a posthumous honorary doctorate in public service. In 2014, Lax was induced into the Maryland Women's Hall of Fame. If you would like to learn more about Henrietta Lacks, please consider The Immortal Life of Henrietta Lacks by Rebecca Skloot. So that's a book that I also saw someone else mention. Yeah. So I just wanted to share this story with you and just to see how, I mean, I've never heard this story before. I don't know if any of you have, but I found it very interesting that Spirit led me to this story. Spirit actually led me to another story initially, which I'll tell you about that in another video. But this is an amazing breakthrough. Like, she has they found the immortal cell in her, and it kept multiplying when all other cells that they tried to keep alive, they died. So what exactly is it about her cells that stayed alive and kept multiplying and were even able to be used, to create medicine for cancers and all of the other mentions that I mentioned? What did it say here? It says cancer. It says the cells would continually be used for research into cancer, AIDS, the effects of radiation and toxic substances, gene mapping, and the countless other scientific pursuits. Perhaps the most famous example of the HeLa cell's role in medical research was the central role in the development of the polio vaccine by Jonas Salk in the 50s. So I found this to be a story of one of our ancestors that's worth telling, because it's amazing. It's an amazing story, and for them to have found something so beautiful within the Black community, deriving from the Black community and not share it, that took a lot away from us for a long time. And we know now, but it's not taught in schools though. And I feel like this is something that should be taught, because it highlights and illuminates what needs to be known from a societal perspective. This is just something that should be known. It should be something that's well known. Just like how we know the name of Martin Luther King, Malcolm X. This is one of those stories, which I believe all of them should be readily available. This is something that you wouldn't really find unless you were looking for it, or somehow you were led to it because you were in the vicinity of that type of information. So I just found like I felt like it was something that it needs to be shared. And I feel like Spirit gave me that vision because they wanted me to share it with you. So here we are. Okay, everything you do, do it with love. I'll see you in the next video. Bye.